Well, hey everyone. Thanks for joining me today for our virtual cooking class. My name is Kate Watts. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist with the Live Life Well Employee Wellbeing Team. So thank y'all for joining me today. We are going to be making a green smoothie. So I sent a recipe with a few different smoothie options. We are going to do the green smoothie, the very last one. And if you're watching online on our Live Life Well YouTube page, you can find the recipes down in the description box below. So I'm excited to talk all about smoothies with you today. They can be a really simple, sweet treat, simple snack, or a great breakfast or meal substitution as long as you're getting enough balance and nutrition. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We are going to start out with some bananas, and we're going to add in mango and pineapple and spinach, and then a liquid of some kind, a protein of some kind, and we'll have our smoothie ready to go. So I'm going to be using a larger blender today. If you don't have a blender, you will need something to this degree to be able to make your smoothie. If you're thinking about investing in a blender, but you're just kind of trying this out, I really like the personal size blenders that you can get. And once your smoothie's done, you can drink right out of the cup that's provided. They have like lids that twist on, all different kinds of personal size blenders that will get the job done. You can also use a food processor if you already have one. So I'm going to use our blender today. We're going to start by peeling our bananas. Bananas are a great base for a smoothie because they thicken and sweeten. And of course, the riper your banana, the sweeter you're going to have that flavor in your smoothie. And also, the riper your banana, the more likely you need to use it up. And a smoothie is a great way to use up a banana that might be a little bit past its good date. And also, bananas freeze really well. So we're going to talk a little bit about freezing fruit that you can then use in a smoothie later. Okay, let's add in our greens actually. So I'm just using some baby spinach, but you can also do kale. Other vegetables go quite well in smoothies. They get covered by the flavor of the fruit, the sweetness of the fruit. So it's a great way to sneak in a serving of veggies. Now, this one's a green smoothie, so we're showing it loud and proud, but we're going to make a portioned freezer smoothie later that's a mixed berry. That would be a good way to kind of hide in some veggies if you need to. I'm just going to do a really nice big handful of our spinach, 1 to 2 handfuls, and you can really pack this into your smoothie, just depending on how much you want to get in there. And these kind of greens freeze really well too. So if you have some you need to use up, it's great to throw them in a freezer bag, put them in a freezer, and use them in smoothies. And you'll see later that we're going to go ahead and freeze them for a future smoothie today as well. All right, let's get in our mango and pineapple. So I love mango is one of my favorite fruits, and it is so good in a smoothie. Push this down. And then we've got some pineapple. So with your fruits, fresh or frozen are fine. I like using frozen just because they're one, affordable, and two, then it kind of acts as my ice to keep my smoothie really cold and a little bit thicker in that, smoothie consistency. So that's why I like to use frozen. And you can get the store brand, you can find them on sale. You're looking for ones that are the ingredients are just the fruit itself, going to be super nutritious and a good affordable way to keep fresh fruit on hand for things like smoothies. And then we'll talk about, again, freezing fresh fruit that you want to save for smoothies down the road. Okay, the next thing for our smoothie is some kind of liquid. So you really need liquid for your blender especially. So it is important, even if you like a thick smoothie, not to skip on some kind of liquid. So our recipe says water or a milk of your choice. So you absolutely can use just plain old water. And usually that's my preference. You also could do something like a coconut water. So that's what I'm going to use today. This is just 100% pure coconut water. So there is some natural carbohydrate and sugar, but no added sugars. And that's one thing about smoothies you have to be careful of, because if you're watching your sugar intake, or if you're watching your blood sugar, smoothies can be really high in sugar. But as long as we're using natural fruits that are full of fiber and other nutrients, it's going to be really healthy for you. And they're all natural sugars. It's really the added sugar that we want to limit as best we can. And we're going to balance this with some protein. And so that's really important for your smoothies too, especially if you're using them as a meal replacement. You're going to need some protein added in here. And then if you're just using it as a snack, you may not necessarily need to do that. But for someone who's managing their blood sugar, you would want to add in a protein. So I just like it to be a standard rule to have some kind of source of protein in my smoothies. You can do that a few different ways. So one option is Greek yogurt is high in protein. You can do plain or vanilla. I'm going to do vanilla today just because I need to use this one up. And so that's going to add in not only your protein, but it's also going to thicken your smoothie if you like that kind of consistency. So I'll do a couple scoops of that. Actually, I'm going to use this one up. Another way would be, of course, with milk, which was another liquid option. So we recommend lower fat milks, but that's going to get in a little bit of protein as well. I have a vanilla unsweetened almond milk that I like to use if I'm not using water, but it's not going to have as much protein as a soy milk or a cow's milk. So if you're wanting to get protein from your milk choice, you'll want to look at the label for that. But any kind of nut milk, plant-based milk is a great option for a smoothie, but you'd still want to add in some additional protein. So another option would be to add in something like a flaxseed meal or chia seeds. Those are going to blend really well into a smoothie. They're also going to provide some good fiber in addition to the fruit, some good nutrients like potassium and calcium and iron. So we can do a couple scoops of flaxseed or just a sprinkle on top, but a tablespoon or two. I would say up to like a fourth a cup. And of course, you can always use protein powder as well if you're wanting to get in some additional protein. So some kind of powdered protein that you can add in as long as it's a flavor that goes well with the flavors you're using. And you just want to make sure that you are limiting your protein to about 25 to 30 grams. Because I know with those powders, a scoop, why not 2 scoops, right? If protein's good, more protein's better. Well, not necessarily, because your body's only going to absorb 25 to 30 grams of protein at a time. And so anything extra, your body's not going to absorb. It's going to pass through you. And I know those protein powders are expensive and we don't want to be wasting them. So it's important to spread your protein intake out across the day in smaller, more frequent meals if you're consuming a high protein diet. And just for meeting your protein needs, 25 to 30 grams per meal is a good ballpark window. So just when you're scooping those powders, read the labels and make sure you're putting the appropriate amount in there. Okay, I think we're ready to blend up our smoothie. So let's do that. Now, at this point, if the consistency is not looking how you want it, you can always add and adjust. So if you need a little bit more liquid, you can add that in. If it's looking too runny, then you could add in more fruit or something like a yogurt to thicken the consistency of the smoothie. Or if you're using those greens, you do want those to be blended really well. So you might need to push some of the excess down the side so that it gets into the mixture better. Same for any flax seeds or chia seeds to get everything well combined. That seems like a pretty good thickness of smoothie for me. We'll give it one more pulse. Now, you can make smoothies ahead of time and store them in something like a mason jar in your fridge, kind of as a meal prepped breakfast or snack or treat. But some recipes will separate a little bit on you. They'll become thinner again. And so you might need to repulse them in a blender. And also just your personal preference. I really like mine fresh out of the blender. So what I prefer to do is prep them in the freezer, which I'm going to show you next. But let's go ahead and try this first. So I've got my glass here. We're out our smoothie. Now, if you have kids in your house, smoothies are a great way to get in some fruits and vegetables for them as well. And we like to come up with names for the smoothie combinations that our kids like that are enticing for them to drink. They're also a great way to get kids in the kitchen to help you adding ingredients for them to see the process. So we would call something like this a Grinch smoothie, or St. Patrick's Day yesterday. We could call it, I think we named this the Shamrock Shake, right, for the recipe. Let's give it a try. Mm, mm. So good, so refreshing. Makes me excited for spring. Those tropical flavors in there are delicious. It's a really good consistency with that yogurt, and it's going to be more filling with the yogurt in there too. Cannot taste the spinach at all, cannot taste the flaxseed at all. It's really, really good. So I hope you try this one. Let's talk a little bit about meal prep for smoothies. So generally, I would say if you're wanting to make this process a little bit quicker for yourself, say in the morning or after school snack for the kids, throwing them into freezer bags in single servings is a great little meal prep hack. So I'm just going to write on here what I'm going to make. So this is a mixed berry smoothie that we're making next. And then I'm just going to put the date on here that I made it. Okay. So for this one, we're going to do a berry medley. This is one of my favorite smoothies, and it's going to be a nice bright purple color. And so it's great for hiding in greens. As I mentioned, you could also throw in things like cucumber, celery. Those vegetables are mostly water anyway, and they blend up really well in a smoothie, and you can't even tell they're there. So we're going to pop in about a cup of our berry medley. I haven't even opened this one yet. And to this, we're going to add in a banana and some spinach. And then that's what we're going to keep in the freezer that we can pull out and pop into a blender at any time and then just add our liquid of choice, which for me would just be water. So it would just be grabbing this bag out of the freezer, putting it in my blender with a cup of water, and there's breakfast ready to go. So pouring some of our berries, which this is a blend of strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries. There's that. Then I'm going to add in our spinach, which again is going to freeze just fine. I'm going to do a lot of spinach. Okay. Yep. And then we'll add in a banana. Get all the air out. Zip it up. And so there is my smoothie bag. I'm just going to pop that in the freezer and I can pull it out, add it with water at any time, and it's ready to go. So this makes it just a couple less steps for you. You can make up 4 or 5 of these, have them in your freezer. Another thing to think about too is your whole fruits, which you can absolutely use your fresh fruits in your smoothies too. As your whole fruits are starting to go bad and you're needing to use them up, if you want to freeze them for smoothies, again, we're just gonna label our bag. So I'm gonna do some bananas and put the date. And so for something like bananas, I'm just going to peel mine and put them in here whole. You could also go ahead and chop them in half or slice them into like the little banana coins, however you want to do it. I'm going to just put my whole bananas in here. If you're doing smaller fruits like berries, strawberries, or say you have some peaches or something like that, and you're cutting them up to then freeze, those are going to stick together if you freeze them all in a bag. So what you want to do is either portion it out like we did in the smoothie bag for an amount that you would want to use at one time. So then they're all frozen together, but that's fine. You're using it all. Or if you want to keep them all frozen together in one bag, but you're not going to use them all at one time, then you're going to want to do the dry pack method. So you take a baking sheet and line it and spread all your berries or sliced peaches out on the baking sheet, put it in the freezer. Once those are frozen individually, now you can pour them all into your freezer bag, write the name of the fruit and the date, and keep them in the freezer, and they'll be frozen individually so you can just pull out what you need one at a time. All right. Well, thank you for joining me to chat about smoothies today. I hope that gave you some ideas of how to incorporate some protein in your smoothies, how to enjoy these without adding in too much extra sugar. Really, that comes with the juices and stuff that we tend to add to smoothies. And so if you can stick with the whole fruits and the more sugar-free beverages, then you're going to have a nice, balanced, refreshing smoothie for your lunch or for your afternoon, for your kids to enjoy. So let me know if y'all experiment with some different flavors and combinations. And again, you can find this video on our Live Life Well YouTube channel with the recipes below. So let me know if y'all have questions, and thank you so much for joining me.